It is Y105, Dubuque's #1 hit music station. My name is Steve Pulaski. My next guest has worked in the bar and restaurant business for over 20 years. He's a regular on the hit TV show Bar Rescue since its early days, and now one of the revolving co-hosts of the show in its 9th season. He's also the owner of the Spirits in Motion, a bar and beverage consultancy. Find out more about them at thespiritsinmotion.com. He is Phil Wills. How are you today, Phil?
Fantastic, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, Phil. What was the last cocktail you drank, and how was it?
That's a fantastic question. The last cocktail I drank was something that I'm kind of gearing up for next year, which is a flip on a Paloma type cocktail, so tequila soda-based.
Oh, very nice. I like that. Talk about Season 9 of Bar Rescue, Phil. It's been completely different from any season that came before it. How's that been for you and the rest of the cast and experts?
Yeah, Season 9 has been actually totally different than obviously years in the past. I've been working on the show for over 10 years now, so this year has brought a lot of new challenges. Generally, I just work on the bartenders creating cocktails and whipping them into shape, but I've been alongside Jon for a lot of years now and understand his tactics and how he goes about kind of rescuing the owners, not just the bar. And that's really what it's become, is rescuing relationships and families. And it's not just about the bar anymore, but it's about people. So my new role in Bar Rescue is to go in there and, crack the proverbial whip on the owners and really get them to see where their faults and failures are, which is a little bit different than if I'm just behind the bar and recreating a cocktail menu. But it's something that is real simple for me because it's what I do in real life as well when I go and help people create bars and figure out their P&L and their finances and everything like that. So I've kind of fell into the role real easily because it's what I actually do in real life. I'm not necessarily behind the bar anymore in my career.
Walk me through your very first rescue. I know obviously with the Spirits in Motion, you're a professional, you have this kind of experience, but it's got to be different when you have TV cameras and it's being filmed for an episodic series. What was it like stepping into Jon's role as the leader of a rescue for the first time? Were you nervous?
There was a little bit of nerves for me, and the nerves really came from just because I was stepping into Jon's shoes, and those are, immensely huge shoes to fill. So I didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to let production down or network down. To be honest, though, when the cameras started rolling, it's all business for me. So I don't even realize the cameras are there. Dealing with people is something that I do every single day, so that part came real easy for me. It was easy to call out faults and to see things that they were failing within their business and call them out. So again, Steve, to be honest, there was a little bit of nerves going into the actual first day of the shoot, but once the cameras started rolling and I walked in the door and started dealing with the owners, everything was second nature for me, and it just came real natural.
Is Phil Wills on the hit show Bar Rescue? What's Jon like as someone with whom you work alongside, Phil?
Jon's great. He's a titan in our industry. Been really good friends with him for obviously the past 10 years. And he's helped me out a lot to see things a little bit differently because, I came from the bar and yes, I ran restaurants and I was a general manager of multiple restaurants and opened up different concepts. But the way Jon looks at a business from holistically, from the bird's eye view down, and he sees all the small details of a business, that's really helped me in the last 10 years. And I feel that, Jon is definitely a mentor to me. He's helped to, kind of mold me to who I am today as far as a business owner, how I look at business and how I run my operations. So, I consider him a dear friend of mine, a great friend of mine. Have no problem giving him a call whenever I need some help or some assistance. And he's always there to answer the phone, which is really nice. He's a great guy.
I want to give you the opportunity to talk about your own business that you helped co-found, Phil. What kind of work do you do with the Spirits in Motion?
Yeah, so we're a beverage consultancy, and essentially what that is somebody will give us a call or reach out via email and say they have a concept that they're looking to open up, but it may be their first run at opening a business. So we'll help cultivate what that business looks like, from their standpoint as far as what they want to achieve. But we help to direct people in being successful within their business because going into the bar and restaurant business is not easy. It's one of the number one failing businesses in the U.S. for a reason because everybody thinks it's just easy, open the doors, people are going to come and drink and have a good time. But there's so much more that goes into it. You have to look at your demographics. You have to look at your concept. Does it fit the demographic? What are you really going for? So that's what we do with the Spirits in Motion, not only to help people that want to start out a business, but if people have a business that is already open and they just can't quite figure out how to make it a little bit more successful, or they're starting to see a dip in numbers, we'll come in, we'll look at their books, we'll restructure their program programs, give them some new training programs, restructure their beverage menu, look at their P&L, and making sure that they're making money across the board.
Find out more about Phil Will's company at thespiritsinmotion.com. What are the common mistakes bar owners make over and over again in your eyes, Phil?
I always tell people that when you open a bar or a restaurant, you're not doing it for yourself. Too many people want to open a bar or restaurant because it's something that they love or something that they like. It's a business, and it's there to make money. So when I go in and I create a menu or I create a concept, it's not a concept that, per se I would want to go to or drinks that I necessarily would want to have. It's what makes sense for the demographics and the area that they're in. So if you're going to go into the bar and restaurant business, make sure that you're building that business for the community and for the people around, not just for yourself. And if you can do that, then you're going to be successful.
How do you yourself know when you're in a bar that's doing everything, or at least most things, 8, 9 out of 10 things right, Phil?
It's taking care in the small, little things. I always say pay attention to the details of the details. You can have a great cocktail menu. You can have a great food menu. That's one thing. But if you sit down at a bar top and it's sticky, you can see that the bartenders don't really care about cleanliness. You're looking around the back bar and it doesn't look clean. I go with 3 different principles. I say you look, consume, and converse. How does the place look? How do the things that you consume taste? And are people actually communicating with you, the bartenders, the staff, the managers? Are there people around that are checking in on you and making sure that you're okay? It's always having that aha moment when you go into a bar or restaurant and saying, wow, that was nice. That was something different. So, I always say 3 different principles when I go into a bar or restaurant is you look, consume, and converse. As an owner, if you can nail all 3 of those, generally you're going to be successful.
Reminds me when I talked to Jon a few months ago and talked to him for an interview, and he said one of the first things he does when he goes into a new bar or restaurant, he goes for the salt and pepper shakers and touches those. And he said if they're greasy, he won't eat there because if the salt and pepper shakers are greasy, imagine what the back of the house looks like.
Yeah. I always do the gum test. And the gum test is, as a consumer, people sometimes take the gum out of their mouth and put it underneath the table or underneath the bar top. So when I first sit down, I always rub my hands underneath the table, underneath the bar top. If people are paying attention to those small details, those things that affect your consumers or your guest, then you know that they're going to be doing a good job in the back of the house. So I always do the gum test. It's very similar to the salt and pepper test that Jon does.
Now, I got 2 tests when I go to a new bar or restaurant, thanks to you too. He is Phil Wills. What's a small thing a bar owner can do that makes an enormous difference, Phil?
I always say that a bar owner needs to concentrate on their guest. Their guests are the number one thing that is going to make their business successful for obvious reasons. But as a bar owner, if is what I call as table touches, and you go around and making sure your managers are table touching or you're table touching, and you're going and trying to talk to each and every guest, and it doesn't have to be a long conversation, but just checking in on them, looking at people in their eyes, being sincere about their concerns or the problems, or if they're having a great time, listening to how great of a time they're having. But listen to your consumers. If you don't listen to your consumers, you don't know what you're doing right and you don't know what you're doing wrong. So as an owner or a manager, get a chance to know who's coming into your bar or restaurant, making sure that you're visible to them and you're looking into their eyes and you're being sincere to them.
This is all very valuable advice. Are there any trends in your industry that you have some maybe skepticism about, or ones that are catching you by surprise that are encouraging you and your team at the Spirits in Motion to evolve, Phil?
Yeah, there's a age-old saying that trends have ends, so it's not, you don't want to jump on a trend and ride that trend forever. You do want to take into consideration trends that are happening. So one of the biggest trends that started last year is the espresso martini. Everywhere you go, it's kind of turned into the cosmopolitan martini when that was really big in the early 2000s and the late 90s. But the espresso martini is huge. And even if you're a small dive bar, you still should be able to make that espresso martini. And I always say when you have a trend that becomes super popular, reinvent that trend and make it your own. That's very important. Another trend that I see that I've been speaking on for the last 7 or 8 years is the low and no drink concept. So people are going out, especially the younger demographics. They don't always want the strongest drink that's out there. Have an option for people that don't feel like drinking that night, but still want to be a part of the crowd or still want to be a part of the party. And you can be successful. You want to make sure that you capitalize more on just a Shirley Temple or iced tea. Make a great cocktail that has either no alcohol or low alcohol in it, and you're going to be able to cater to a wider range of people coming into your bar or restaurant.
I asked Chef Ashish Alfred about this, so I'd love your thoughts too. What are some of the most overrated spirits or mixes in your eyes, Phil?
I think probably one of the most overrated spirits are the celebrity brand spirits. They're not all always bad. However, a lot of people jump on the celebrity brand spirits because there's a celebrity behind it, and it's not always the well thought out spirit that's there. So you don't need to go into a bar and order the hot new tequila that's promoted by Kendall Jenner or something like that. You want to have something that is 100% natural, doesn't have any artificial flavors or ingredients in it. So, kind of bend your way away from the celebrity brands, or do your research and make sure that it's actually a good spirit. I think as far as mixers go, what we're seeing a trend in, and it's a great thing, is that things are all fresh ingredients, and we're not using a lot of artificial flavoring inside of our mixers anymore. So that's what I love to see. I do not like going into a bar or a restaurant where they don't put any thought behind their mixers and they just pull out anything that you could have bought at Costco or you could have bought at some major brand market out there. Put a little bit of thought into your mixers. Use fresh ingredients. Fresh is always best no matter which way you go.
Rose's lime juice had a great run, don't you think, Phil?
I'll tell you, the 90s, 80s, and 90s, Rose's lime juice was our grab and go-to, and obviously that's all artificial. So you're not seeing that a lot inside bars anymore.
That and Thunderbird wine, am I right?
Oh, Jesus, come on now. $2 Chuck.
He is Phil Wills, again, the man behind the Spirits in Motion. He's a recurring guest and one of the revolving co-hosts on the show Bar Rescue. Phil, you're awesome. I want to give you the final word. Promote the Spirits in Motion, promote any of your other ventures. I'm giving you the final word. Where can people find you?
If you type in Phil Wills, generally I come up on the interweb. You can check me out at PhilIam11 on Instagram. That's where I'm most popular. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me, because unlike other people that are on TV, I'm not an actor. I'm a real live person. So I do check my DMs, and I do want to make sure that our industry is better. So anytime you come and you have a question, I'm going to do my best to answer it. Reach out to me. I'm here for you. Phil Wills. Type it in, Google it. I'll come up, reach out. I'm here for you.
I can attest you get back to me very swiftly, too. They call you Phil Wills, not Phil Won'ts.
Yeah, there you go, Steve. I like it.
He's Phil Wills. Again, I'll be watching more Bar Rescue. Thanks so much for your time, Phil, and I wish you nothing but continued success, my friend.
Appreciate you, Steve. Thanks a lot.